What's up, my people? Welcome to the podcast today. So today you're getting a little peek into one of my group sessions. So one of the things that I'm doing with people is doing these like deeper identity shift works, right? And I know all of y'all listening to my podcast. You're listening to a Holy Mess podcast. So your life is not all easy peasy pumpkin squeezy. You've been through some shit, okay? But you're not letting it define you. And also, I do know you guys, your life looks really good on the outside, but you've got some struggles going on the inside. And so this is you're my demographic. You're exactly who I work with. I'm so grateful you are here. Okay, today's episode, there's some practical tools and takeaways to help you. Listen, we all want to get to our next level. We all want to get to the next era, the next phase. We want that more that we're longing for, right? We've done a lot of the work. We're not in like our house isn't on fire internally. It's not super chaotic, but we do have just some struggles and all that. And we keep kind of going up struggle mountain with things. One of the things that I was trying to tell some of my students was, listen, we're going to do the deeper identity shift work. We're going to deal with the lies that are holding you back and helping you step into this next era. We're going to do the bigger shift identity work. But when we're triggered, we have to calm the storm. We have to calm ourselves down. And so there's just some seriously simple, practical things that you can do day in and day out, sometimes 2 and 3 times a day, to settle your nervous system, to settle your heart and mind, to settle your spirit, so that you can do the deeper work and the deeper shifts. And so it's something that I'm working through with my students all the time and my clients. Like, okay, listen, we're going to do these bigger identity shifts, but we also have to get the practical tools to settle our nervous system down. Otherwise, the bigger shifts are never going to come. They're never going to happen. And so I hope this episode blesses you. I hope that just being reminded of doing some very practical things that you got to get addicted to. You got to get addicted to doing the practical things. They're not sexy. They're not like, oh my gosh, blow your mind transformative, but they are very helpful. And so I hope that these 7 practical tools help you out the next time you're triggered. Just implement them. Let me know how it goes. I know it's going to help you. I guarantee you, money back guarantee. Okay. I will refund you 100% of this podcast episode that you paid for. By the way, you didn't pay $1. Okay. I'm the sponsor of this episode. Okay. So I hope this episode blesses you. 7 practical tools to help calm you down and to bring you back to a good place so that we can do the deeper work. I am doing this constantly with my clients because listen, when you're doing this deeper identity shift work, trying to get to the next level, we're triggered. It's like we're trying to shut off old skins and trying to step into the next level. And, it's our identity, our nervous system, everything kind of freaks out. So it does take some practical tools along the way. If you want to dive deeper and you're like, I want a coach in my corner, I want Dani in my pocket, I want to work with Dani, go to the show notes, book a discovery call. I'd love to invite you into maybe one of my groups or doing some one-on-one with me where we can do this deeper work to actually have the identity shifts and to get into your next level, whether it be for business or with your family or just your own for you, like for who you are. And if you want to get certified to be a life coach, also book a discovery call. Let's go. We're having fun inside the community and it's just so fun getting to the next level with everybody. It's just amazing. So anyways, enjoy this episode. Remember, practical isn't sexy, but it's very, very needed. Enjoy the episode. Love you guys. So grateful you're here. I got an email from one of our awesome members and she was talking about, like, when she came to me, she wanted to make some bigger changes. Like, she'd done a lot of work on herself, like the rest of us, read the books, done the therapy, done all the stuff, right? And there's still some deeper things that we're working on and working through. But I tell everybody, you can't just go straight to the deep stuff. You got to do some practical things as well. And that's where just helping and coming alongside you guys to help you figure out what are the practical things that you can do day in and day out for yourself. And you guys, we have as a people neglected ourselves. We have put everybody first. Okay. And it's like, if there's one thing common for all of my clients and all of the people I work with, they prioritize other people's needs because that's what they were conditioned and taught in childhood and all of that. And so there's this awakening and this almost this reckoning that kind of their soul is like, no more. Like, you need to prioritize me or I'm going to die. And not maybe necessarily a physical death, but definitely possibly emotional death or even spiritual death. Like, our souls will only take the back burner for so long. And so I just commend you guys for showing up and for hungering for the more and taking a chance on what God has for you, and so that you can experience more love, more joy, more peace, more purpose in this era, this next era of your life. And so I know a lot, even on the podcast, I talk about like practical things that we do. And it's so important that we get the practical things that we can do to up level our life right, so that we can deal with the deeper stuff. We can deal with the roots of dysfunction. We can deal with the roots of conditioning. We can deal with the roots of trauma and drama and old lies and old things that just are not serving us anymore. But it's almost like if you just deal with the roots without doing the practical, it's like having surgery without the medicine. And also, it doesn't work. It leads to infection. And I hate to say it so bluntly, but it's like, this is why we keep circling the same mountains, because we're just going after the root. And it's like, okay, but if we're just going after the root and we're not adding in the practical day-to-day to take care of ourselves, to prioritize ourselves, to regulate our system, doing the tools and the practices that bless us, that fill us, that train our body and our nervous system and our spirit, that, you know what? I'm not abandoning you. Like Dani, I'm not abandoning you. I'm showing up for you. And I'm going to build things in your life to enjoy life and enjoy the practical things, so that we can deal with the deeper conditioning and the lies and the crap that's in there from childhood or from choices we've made or whatever. I mean, sometimes it is that the enemy planted these seeds in us and they've just grown and bloomed and turned into this big disastrous thing. And it's so crazy because in Christian culture, we blame the enemy for everything. And I'm not saying the enemy's not real. Oh my gosh, like there is legit spiritual warfare. There is legit stuff that the devil does and all of that. But I always tell people too, like, he didn't need to do too much for me, because my shitty committee does a lot. Like my shitty committee does it because of the conditioning or the stuff that I went through in childhood and all of that. So like sometimes we're praying about stuff and it's like, we actually don't need to pray about it. We actually need to get in action to actually deal with the issue and prioritize ourselves, and then deal with the root lie and the root conditioning. And sometimes it's just this awakening and this reckoning for our soul. And so I'm just so proud of you guys for showing up and for doing this work. I wrote down this morning, before I had gotten this email from this amazing community member saying like, thank you for helping me with the practical things that bring joy to my life. Thank you for helping me with the practical things that actually help me, like kick me in the butt and move me forward in life. Because when we're moving forward and we're in action and we're aligned with God and we're aligned with our spirit and our gut, we can take aligned action. We actually get like the downloads from God, and we have these creative ideas of like, maybe I should do this with my business, or maybe I should do this with my family. And it's like, that's where the beauty comes from when we take care of ourselves in a very practical way. I had written down this morning, you cannot make long-lasting, meaningful change in your life in chaos. Again, you cannot make long-lasting, meaningful change in your life when you're living in chaos. 10 years ago or 15 years ago, I would have said that. And I was trying to help people who were like at rock bottom. And the chaos was like very chaotic things externally in their life. Right. And that's true. You got to get the external more calm and more under control. And you got to take aligned action to take care of yourself so that you can make good decisions and have good boundaries and all that. But I'm talking about those of us that have done a lot of work on ourselves, and we're not necessarily living where the house is on fire outside the house. The house is on fire inside the house. I'm talking about the shitty committee chaos. I'm talking about the negative thoughts that we have about ourselves and about our life chaos. Like, that's what I'm talking about. And if there's one thing I'm an expert at, people ask me, what do you feel like you've really become an expert at in this life? And I'm like, I don't think I've become an expert in very many things, but one thing I have is dealing with my shitty committee and helping other people deal with their shitty committee, because that almost killed me. Like, if I can just be so blunt, my shitty committee was out to kill me. And I thought it was the devil for so long. And yeah, I think he planted some things there, but then it just became my own orchestra of negative self-talk and beating myself up and second guessing myself with every decision. And it was, if I'm honest with you guys, it was chaotic. Like, no wonder I drank. Like, no wonder I was trying to quiet my shitty committee. No wonder I binged ate ice cream and binged ate potato chips and all of that. It was trying to numb and shut up the shitty committee because I couldn't turn her off. And this is what I'm after. This is what I'm trying to help and empower you guys to overcome your shitty committee. And I don't mean get rid of her, because by the way, she's a part of you and there's needs that need to be met. And that's why she's there. There's things that she's hurting and she's scared of and all of that. And so there's a lot to it, right? There's the practical we got to deal with. But then there's also like the deeper stuff that we have to deal with so that it's the shitty committee doesn't run and rule your life, and that we can actually just kind of laugh at her and be like, silly Dani. It's funny. I was on a call yesterday with one of my awesome one-on-one clients. You guys, I love my clients. You guys are, I just love you guys. You're the best humans in the whole world. You're honest and you deal with your stuff. You do the work and you just don't want to be a broken bird. You want to like soar and fly and you are my people. And she was telling me, we've been working together now for a few months. And when she came to me, she had a crazy shitty committee. She's an overachiever. She's a striver. She's done really well in life. But her shitty committee would wake her up 3 a.m. and throughout the day and just haunt her. And she would second guess conversations. She would second guess things, decisions she's made, like all of this stuff that is, we think sometimes until we wake up to it, we're like, oh, that's just natural. Isn't that normal? No, it's not. It's not healthy. It's not normal. It's not the way I want to live my life. And I know it's not the way you guys want to live your life, or you wouldn't be here. Right. And so she was telling me that she had done something. And she said, I made a mistake. I made this bonehead mistake. She said 6 months ago, I would have crucified myself. I would have just been like, oh my gosh, we'll call her Jane for the sake of the conversation. Oh, Jane, you're so stupid. Why would you do that? Like just beat herself up and felt so small. And so it would have eaten away at her self-esteem. It would have just set her back. She said she made this mistake, which was very human of her, which, by the way, her even acknowledging that this mistake was human was like, who are you? This is amazing. Like, you're actually stepping into who you are. And she said within a second, she had a pause and she went, silly Jane, you just were human and you made a mistake. And she said she literally giggled to herself and she was like, what is going on? How did I get here? My goodness. Like, she couldn't wait to have a session with me to tell me that she giggled at her shitty committee. And she was like, oh, silly Jane, that's so human of you. And then she like moved on with her day. She went on a bike ride. She called a client, like, and she was like, my gosh, like, this is transformation. This is what you were talking about. This stuff doesn't have to haunt me. And I mean, I cried. I was like, this is huge, because when people have these moments, it's like, you guys, we can't like, this is huge. That will change the trajectory of her life if she can tame that shitty committee and not be sucked into the chaos and the sadness and the self-doubt and all of it. And it's just a miserable way to live. And that's one of the reasons why I'm so passionate about helping you guys, like, seriously deal with your shitty committee so that you can just giggle at it. And you can just move on and you just know you're human and you get to just enjoy the day, because we are going to blow it, right? It's that the shitty committee has capitalized and stolen the years from us. And I'm like, I'm done with that. Like, and that's why I'm fighting for this with all of us. Talk about Joel 2:25, where God will renew the years the locusts have eaten. She was talking about that yesterday with me. She was like, I feel like now that I'm learning how to step into this, God's renewing my mind. This is how he's renewing my mind. He's dealing with my shitty committee once and for all. And so I'm like, yes, this is amazing. That is the chaos that I'm talking about, and about helping us calm the chaos and not be so sucked into the chaos. And part of this, why it's so practical and why I push on these practical tools, is because we're trying to regulate our nervous system so that we can actually do the meaningful work and deal with and uproot the lies that are in there that have sucked the life out of us for so long. And so that you can step into more joy, more confidence, more clarity, more wisdom, and walk through this life as the empowered human that God wishes you to be, with your life story and your experience and all of that. There were two subjects I really wanted to dive into today. And so today I wanted to talk about practical tools to do when you get triggered. Like, I made a list of 7 practical things you can do when you're triggered. And if some of these on the list don't hit well for you, replace it with something else. But if 5 or 6 of them do, like, let this be your practical list so that you can deal with the deeper things moving on. But you gotta get through these like rocky moments, right? You know, and sometimes we're triggered because of emotions and feelings and stuff that happens inside of us, or mistakes that we've made. But sometimes we're triggered by the toxic people in our life. And I hate putting that term on people. And I'm not saying they're toxic for everybody, right? Like, my daughter, Mackenzie, is allergic to onions and garlic. It's literally toxic to her body. It's not toxic to me. I enjoy onions and garlic, but it's toxic to her. For whatever reason, that's her system. So when I say that we're putting boundaries on toxic people, we're not calling them 100% toxic. They're just a little bit toxic for your system. And sometimes that's a healthier way for us to even sit in that, because we don't want to label people as all bad or all toxic. They're not. They're wonderful, I'm sure, and lovely for certain people. And God bless them. We just have an allergy to them and they trigger us. Honor your allergies, right? Take care of yourself. I am allergic to sesame seed. So if I have sesame seeds, my tongue will and I know there's a lot of, sometimes I have just enough sushi with the sesame oil where it's like, it's enough. I can feel it. Maybe I'll take a Benadryl to go to sleep that night because it was worth it. This is where you got to know your own self, right? I have a nephew who's allergic to peanuts. If he is around peanuts, he could go into anaphylactic shock, right? And he's got to do the EpiPen. There is no EpiPen for the people that we're allergic to. We just have to let the stuff kind of like roll out of our system, right? And some of us, it's family members that are just toxic to our system, and we just need to learn how to take care of ourselves and have healthy boundaries, because we have like an allergic reaction. It's like the best way to describe it. And I'm not calling them completely toxic, but they are for us. And so we have to learn to have boundaries, right? I have a friend whose daughter is kind of making some squirrely choices right now, and it's really affecting this mom, like really affecting this mom. So she's put the boundary that she will not talk to this daughter past 12 p.m. in the afternoon. So if she's going to talk to this daughter, it's got to be, morning time. So she has hours and hours to get back to a healthy place so she can sleep at night. That's a healthy boundary that she's had to put up for herself. And is there loss in it? Yeah. She can't talk to her daughter at 3:30 in the afternoon because she won't sleep all night. But it's learning to manage and what your system can regulate and all of that too, right? And so it's like, I can't have caffeine past noon. There's certain people I can't talk to past noon either. I've borrowed this from my friend, and it has blessed me, you guys. It has absolutely blessed me. Like, don't take that phone call at 8:30 at night, because it's going to trigger you and it's going to cause issues. And so when we're drained and when we're triggered, our go-to coping mechanisms, most of us are like a pint of ice cream. Hopefully it's not, 2 bottles of wine, right? But sometimes it is just drinking too much, or the chips, or doom scrolling, like all of these things that we do as a natural human response when we're triggered. What I am trying to help us all, myself included, is to empower you to find healthier coping mechanisms, to find healthier things to do when you're triggered, right? Because if we can settle our system, we can actually deal with the root issue of why we're triggered, right? And get into the deeper things. But we got to do the practical things. So, and this is like just practice, but I want to encourage you, 7 things that you can do when you're triggered. It's something that I did earlier this week, and I just wrote a list, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I got to share this with my people, because the practical helps us actually deal with the deeper thing that's going on, instead of when we're triggered and then we go eat the pint of ice cream and then we feel shame about it and then we hate ourselves. Right? Because we got to get into this. And so one of the things that I do when I'm anxiously triggered is I go on a quick walk. And it's interesting. I don't go walk 3 miles, you guys. I go walk for 8 minutes, right? I can walk up and down my street. I have like a little loop I do. I can sometimes just go in my backyard. I've started this actually every morning. I just walk my backyard for about 8 minutes, and it's really resets my system. So like getting our body in action, getting out and going on a walk, turning on either fun, upbeat music to dance, or turning on classical music. There is something about classical music that helps regulate our nervous system and helps our brain calm down. It's just the way that classical music works. And it's interesting. I remember when I was pregnant with my kids, I don't know if you guys remember, but decades ago, they used to say, like, let your unborn baby listen to classical music because they'll be smarter. So Gary and I invested in this like $200 thing to put on my belly so my kids could listen to classical music. Did it help? I don't know. Who knows? But I bought into it. So psychosomatically it helped, right? And honestly, I remember sitting there with the vibration of the classical music on my belly, and I remember it calmed me down. And so I thought of that a couple of weeks ago, and I've been doing all this research about how classical music can really help regulate your nervous system. So I want us all collectively to grab a playlist on Spotify of classical music. And I'll send you guys a list for the classical music playlist that I listen to. One of the other things is just, so the next thing on the list is like move your body. do jumping jacks, do like air lunges. So, it's really healthy after a meal if you like go on a walk. Well, also doing just air lunges, like 10 lunges can help regulate your nervous system. And so if you're triggered, I want you to do 10 air lunges if your body will allow it, because it's really, really helpful. Doing breathing exercises. So the next thing that I go to is deep breath in through your nose, hold it out through your mouth, like breathing through a straw. It's called box breathing. It is so powerful. You do 3 little sets of it, in through your nose, hold it out through your mouth. There is such healing that comes with breathing. One of the other things that you can do is call and message a friend. Not necessarily that you're triggered or that you're struggling, but hey, how are you doing? I just wanted to reach out and send you some love and send you this encouraging quote or this verse. Like, it helps you get out of the moment and not ruminate and relive the triggered moment, but it gets you out of yourself and you're actually ministering to someone else. And that always lifts our spirit. So I want that to be a tool in your tool belt as a practical thing that you can do. One of the other things that is just so fun that I love to do is dance. You guys know this. It's part of my morning routine. I wish all of us would collectively dance for 10 minutes a day. It is like great exercise. It's great for our nervous system. It's great for our spirit. It brings back that childlike joy. And we're going to talk about this soon, but like about how we need to practice joy to grow capacity for joy in our life. Dancing is like really fun. It's a real practical thing that you can do. Also, the other thing is I have a ping pong table. We've had it we actually brought it out of the garage and into our living room a couple months ago. And so it's sitting up on the wall, but I lower one edge of it and I do ping pong. It's table tennis. And there is something to it. I just watched this psychiatrist talk about the importance of brain longevity. If you want to like not get Alzheimer's and dementia and all that, like there's something about the quick movement and coordination, watching the ball and all of that, and hitting the ball and all of that. So if you don't have a table tennis thing, you can grab a tennis ball and throw it against the wall. Throw with your right hand, catch with your left hand, throw with your left hand, catch with your right hand. There's something about this bilateral movement that is very, very helpful, and it helps regulate our nervous system. And why am I so huge on regulating our nervous system? Because these are the ways that we can practically take care of ourselves so that we can not just survive life, but we can actually deal with the shit that's binding us and that's holding us back and that is anchoring us to our past or to pain, and then actually deal with that stuff and uproot it. And so that's why I'm very big on the practical, because you guys know me. I want to deal with all the deeper shit and help you heal, help you move forward and be empowered. But we can't just like go straight into the mind. We have to like clear our nervous system and bring peace and joy and all of that so that we can actually deal with that stuff from a place of like serenity and sanity and all of that. And so that's why I'm really big on the practicals. You guys, a lot of us are trained when we're triggered and conditioned to just go try to medicate, quote unquote, in some other way to make ourselves feel better. And sadly, it is sometimes the bag of chips or the ice cream or the 2 bottles of wine or the doom scrolling. The issue with that, and I'm not shaming anybody if that's your go-to, it's the issue with that is that leads to more shitty committee thoughts and more shame and all of that. So that's why I'm really trying to build our muscles for the practical things that we can do to comfort our nervous system, to take care of ourselves so that we can deal with the deeper issue. And then hopefully we're not as triggered. Like that's the goal, is to not be as triggered as much. It's not that we're never going to not be triggered. We're human. We're going to be triggered. When we're triggered, we need to have really practical things to settle ourselves so that we can deal with the deeper issues. And this is what we're doing in my programs, right? We're trying to like deal with the deeper stuff and uproot this stuff so that we're not so triggered. That's the goal. All right, my friend, I'm so grateful you were here today, especially if your shitty committee has been running you ragged. Use these practical tools. I am telling you, there is something so transformative to just implementing these practical tools day in and day out. And let me tell you, the more that you implement them, the less you need to implement them, okay? So the more that you can, when you're triggered and you can kind of begin to implement some of these tools to calm your nervous system down, the easier it gets and the less that we're triggered, right? I always tell my students and clients, the goal is not to not be triggered because, hello, we're human and we're going to be triggered. The goal is to not be so affected by that trigger for so long. And implementing these practical tools that we can do, and these were just 7 simple ones, right? I have like 21,000 tools that you could use. Just choosing 7 simple tools that you can implement day in and day out so that the trigger doesn't last as long. That's where it's at, because that is what I'm about, helping you guys move from just being, tossed and turned by the shitty committee and the angstiness of life, and helping you step into your power and get your power back. Like that's what it's about, getting your joy back, becoming a fun human being again. Like, let's go. If you want to dive in more deeply and you're like, hey, I want to work with Dani, book a discovery call. The link's in the show notes, or you can go to aholymess.com and book through the Calendly link, and let's go. I'm excited. So grateful you're here. God bless you. See you in a few days.